Statement.
The floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Mr. President, the Russian delegation abstained from the vote on Security Council Resolution 2428 for the extension of sanctions on South Sudan. We are not striving to paint a rosy picture of the situation in that country. We are aware of the fact that there is a persistence there of the party's violation of the cessation of hostilities regime, that the humanitarian situation remains dire. However, what is also clear is that has been some momentum made in the settlement process. So these issues include, in addition to the meetings already held among the South Sudanese leaders Salva Kiir and Riek Machar, in addition to that, also on 27 June, the Khartoum Declaration was signed. And what is being planned for the near future are the long-awaited negotiations in Nairobi. Before our very eyes, less than a month ago, thanks to IGAD's efforts, what has been launched is a format of contact between South Sudanese politicians. And before our eyes, this is transforming into a genuine, full-fledged negotiations platform. We concur with the words of our Ethiopian colleague. If this is not progress, then what is it? Is it possible for those who genuinely are keen to see peace arrive in that long-suffering country? Can they genuinely think otherwise? Under such circumstances, what would be logical would be to support the African Union's approach. Its policy about the importance of its strengthening partnership is something which we will discuss at the Security Council next week. And it is important to join the mediation efforts of IGAD and support those, the members of which, as is known, unconditionally noted the importance and timeliness of stepping up pressure on the Republic of South Sudan. We regret the fact that today our Council has disappointed the supporters of this approach. Instead of heeding the views and embracing the positions of regional players, our colleagues recklessly took up the sanctions baton. We are convinced that the imposition of sanctions against the current participants in the political process or members of the government is a counterproductive approach. There will be no positive impact for the political settlement from the arms embargo either. From the words of our U.S. colleagues, one may draw the conclusion that the embargo appears to be something of a panacea for all the ills plaguing that country. We all are perfectly aware of the fact that South Sudan indeed has been flooded with weapons. However, attempts to constrain provisions of such weapons should not be focused solely on government forces. The experience of neighboring countries in the region reflects the fact that a cessation to armed violence is brought about not by an embargo, but rather by full-fledged efforts aimed at reforming security forces, implementation of programs for weapons collection from the population, and disarmament, demobilization of the combatants. Lastly, I cannot but note the fact that we increasingly have questions vis-à-vis the working methods of the penholders. Thanks to their efforts, the Security Council continues to be unable to surmount the deep divide on the South Sudanese dossier. Such actions hardly help to raise the standing of the Security Council and the United Nations as a whole, which in words is so supported by those who supported today's resolution. As we see, the situation points to the opposite being the case. That as for Russia, we did not and will not support the policy of imposing against independent countries and regions, imposing decisions which are convenient for non-regional forces to advance domestic political agendas or any other desires or considerations. We wish to hope that despite the destructive step taken today, the tenuous process of establishment of constructive dialogue between the South Sudanese parties will not be undermined, and that the relevant IGAD mediation efforts will be continued. Thank you.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for his statement.